Hi, this is Paul Sackis, News Planet, speaking to Maddie Russo. Hi, Maddie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul, for your time and your patience. I really appreciate this.
Well, I'm a lucky ducky. You're a great artist.
Thank you so much, and you're a great writer.
As well. You're a very talented person. Actually, you're born in Coney Island here in New York, Brooklyn, New York. Our studio here is in Brooklyn. And you have some exhibits. You have something going on Laguna Beach and something April 13th in Newport Beach, an art exhibit. So you're a working artist. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so kindly. You're very kind and generous. Yes, and the reason why we're speaking, I need to make this a priority, is because of Arturo Rivera, who you have done an interview with, who is my mentor and a great artist, and has given me the opportunity to have my own one-woman show in a gallery in Santa Ana, the largest gallery right now that he is the art director for. And he noticed my work on 9/11 and Guns in America, and if it wasn't for him, we never would have met.
Well, Guns in America is a very, very important subject, and I really very much wanted to meet with you, praise you about Arturo as well, but your talent stands alone of unto itself. Congratulations to that. Why Guns in America? Why did you proceed with that kind of a concept?
Okay, right on. You want me to tell you the truth? It's because I have a granddaughter back in Brooklyn, and she lives in Brunswick right now, and I don't know. I had a leg injury a while back, and I'm sure I've sent you some of my other abstract work. It's mostly the paintings alone weigh like 70 pounds, and I couldn't get out into the studio, so I got stuck in bed, and I was watching a lot of CNN and everything, and it was just devastating me thinking that, my son couldn't take his own daughter to the theater, and because he was worried that, God forbid something would happen to her. The whole thing has been out of control, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know what provoked me to do this, but it was like a mission that I was on as far as writing, and just keep painting. A friend of mine, actually the hairdresser of mine, had a gun, and he just did it, I don't know, because one of his friends had it, and I was like, what are you doing with a gun? And I started to, really think, guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns, and which is another voice in Arturo Rivera, which is what we're doing right now. We'll be working on a large expo, and Diego Rivera, you know who Diego Rivera, right? I mean, he's a phenomenal artist, is very interested in our work, and it just provoked me to do it, and I just needed to do it, and I just keep doing this, and I went to a shooting range, and I was at that time able to access bullets and already pre-shot bullets, and I was able to make work with this. And now, because thank God for President Obama, it's very hard to get a hold of these bullets. So for some reason, for the grace of God or the universe, it's made my work, it seems to be more valuable. But to me, that shouldn't be the reason why. It's just it's gotten out of control, and I needed to make a voice. And although I've been a life coach, my whole life in New York City for 33 years, I just felt like that it was important to me, to make a voice about this, that how, this is out of control and it needs to be spoken about. And as much as my abstract work, yes, is hanging in Laguna Beach, in some of the best galleries in Laguna Beach, the Townley Gallery, the Gallery of Contemporary Art, Laguna Gallery of Contemporary Art. I just needed to keep doing this, and it just provoked me, and I had to make, a voice about it, Paul, and I thank you for appreciating that.
And from here, what's next for you? I mean, I love your work. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
And I haven't seen it in person, but from the photographs.
I have emails, so I'm sorry I bombarded you with all these emails. Yeah, I also I did a lot of work about the first work I ever did, which I'm sure you recognize me as far as us being fellow New Yorkers, is my work on 9/11. And I had kept a bunch of newspapers that I kept for my granddaughter, being that my son was you know, involved. You know, he was right there in 9/11. The last phone call we had until the phones went off was that he told me he was going back over the Brooklyn Bridge to find his wife. And I'm sure, Paul, you know what that's like, you know, and being a New Yorker. I was devastated. And one day, I don't know, it was right before the 10th anniversary of 9/11. I was in the cupboard and I was, you know, cleaning stuff out, I was looking for some paint. And I saw these papers, and I go, you know what? I am definitely going to make some work about this. And the work is called Never Forget. And it took me a long, long time to do this, and I was, like, determined to do it. I mean, sleepless nights. And I didn't want to mention the actual people's names that were in 9/11 being, you see, you have to understand, in New York, I was an artist. I mean, I was an artist in these people's lives because I made their lives beautiful in a way that they couldn't understand, you know what I'm saying, that they were sick people, and I was a personal trainer. But the thing is, I used to take their children through Central Park while they were down at Ground Zero, you know, posting posters or whatever, and I just felt, okay, you want me to be honest? Okay.
Of course.
And, in Los Angeles, you know, I don't know, I'm not very comfortable here, and everyone seems to have an opinion about 9/11, but they don't really know what it was like. And a lot of my clients, you know, got a lot of, just because they were like, you know, because they wore a scarf on their head or whatever, they were abused, and, you know, what they went through. I mean, people don't really understand. They just think that 9/11 was about this war that we were having, but there were other people here that became Iran Americans or Iraqi Americans, and they don't really understand how it changed people's lives forever. And I needed to make this work, and I needed to get some closure, and I felt like if I did this, you know, it would make me feel better, but it actually didn't in some strange way. So I continued on with my Guns in America. I was making work as far as, you know, what happened in Colorado as far as the massacre in Colorado and everything, and Obama was becoming president, and for me, it just gave me some kind of closure, thinking that if I made this work, to be honest with you, Paul, I just needed to do it. It was like an urge that I had, like a fix, and I needed to do it.
You're an artist, and the passion comes out of you. Let me ask you about one specific piece of work, because I think it's probably fairly involved. And we're going to make this like one out of interviewing again, and when you come back to New York, and blah, blah, blah. But you have here something under the 9/11, I think. I think it is.
Yes.
Sins of the Father.
Sins of the Father.
Is that part of the 9/11?
Yes, it is. Sins of the Father, it's part of a group of paintings that I made, 2 paintings called Ransom Notes. And one of them is called Sins of the Father, and the other one is called Terrorist. And my ex-husband out here, he had, how I actually met him is because he wrote some poetry on an album that he wrote. It was called The New Republicans, and I told him that was the wrong name to use because people would not, you know, because they look at the face of an album, but what he was trying to say was, you know, how, you know, he felt about 9/11, and he was the poet on it. And what I did with Sins of the Father is that I went through boundless thrift stores and antique stores, and I found a bunch of Books of Mormon and King James Bible, and I put together and I scrapped them out. And then what happened was, as I was searching for these books, I came across an actual manual for a soldier who happened to have been in the war, and I felt like I couldn't use these original the original book, and I went, made copies and everything, and I reposted on the paper. But if you look at Sins of the Father, it's a bunch of stories that I've gotten from these books, and an actual, there was this, it just blew my mind about this one soldier that had colored in all these pictures, and he signed it, and it was actually before 9/11, and he knew the whole thing was going to happen in some strange way. It affected me in a way that I can't begin to tell you. And I know that I have a very small voice, and people kept telling me, Maddie, you're a great abstract artist. You have a great palette. But I needed to do this, and I knew I would be broke doing it, but I needed to just do this to get some closure. As I said, being a personal trainer at the time during 9/11, and like Central Park, that's how Central Park began. I needed, walking all these children through the park while their moms and their dads whoever survived, was walking through Central Park. I said, Maddie, could you just walk my kids around while I post these things? It just broke. I don't need to tell you, Paul, because I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was, it's just something I just needed closure with, and I needed to do that. I just needed to do it. And with Sins of the Father, it's actually about the Bush administration that, I don't know your political views on anything,
but
we
kind of don't go too political here. We're just kind of...
Yeah, right on. And I needed to just, make a statement. And that was a poem written, by a friend of mine, and a song actually on an album that I just needed to. And I took the script and I burnt it. See, that's what I did. I'm known as the burnout artist in Los Angeles right now, because I take these words and I put them into my computer, and I changed the fonts and everything to how I wanted to adjust in my artwork. And the words to that poem, Sins of the Father, it began to be, it was my way of showing, I needed closure, Paul. I just needed some closure.
That's why I brought that one up. Let me ask you one last question. Thank you so much, Maddie, for sharing yourself with us, and for your open heart and soul, and your wonderful talents. Really, I enjoy looking through your website. So I look forward to seeing your art in person. So what's good news for you?
The good news for me is that thanks to this interview with you, hopefully there's a way that I'm going to be moving back to New York City, and I want to get my art back in there. And the fact that I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's a decade or more after 9/11, that I've been given the opportunity to just kind of bring a voice back to, like, actually, what 9/11 meant to me as being an actual 9/11 person, and my son surviving 9/11. And that's good news to me. That I think the world is changing, thank God, to President Obama. And I think that we are stronger now and more unified as a nation. And I just think that, my small voice, as far as my artwork, will maybe, as long as I could do that, and through people like you, and thank you very much, for letting me do that, giving me this opportunity, give me, some closure in some way, because I don't need to explain that once again, as being a New Yorker, which has got us both together. I had a personal training business in New York, and when I used to see my Muslim friends coming to my studio, they had, the Muslim American people, the way that they were abused and violated, they had nothing to do with that. And I just feel like maybe if I can kind of bring that out and say that this is what America is all about, that we are about, a variety of nationalities, and we shouldn't stereotype anybody as far as what their religion is or whatever it is they spiritually believe in. But I just think that I needed to do that. And I know that I need to move on with my regular abstract work, but it was just some kind of closure, and the opportunity that I got to share that with you, being that I am going to be moving back to New York City, it just gave me some kind of closure.